West Virginia is set to head to the state of Arizona this weekend for a matchup with the Sun Devils of Arizona State. We've got you covered here. We're going behind enemy lines on this episode of Mountaineer Moment. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. All right, welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Mountaineer Moment. My name's Troy. I'm your host here on this show covering West Virginia football and basketball. And we're thrilled to have you here for this episode number 83. Whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're watching or listening, consider hitting that subscribe button for us. Leave a comment, drop a rating, toss a like on this video if you're on YouTube, and certainly leave a comment in the comment section on YouTube because I love interacting with everybody there. Again, episode number 83, West Virginia football and basketball. Man, both are in full swing. Football teams coming off back-to-back victories. Mountaineer basketball is off to a 3-0 start, and vibes are up. Vibes are trending in the right direction, and West Virginia sitting obviously at 4-6 on the season, but have won 2 straight, 2-5 in conference play. And this weekend they're heading to Arizona State for a matchup with the Sun Devils. And so through this episode, it's something that we've done. If you're new here to Mountaineer Moment, or if you've been here a little bit, you would know this. And if you're new, you might not know this. We go behind enemy lines, we call it. Just identifying the West Virginia opponent that week on the football field and telling you a little bit about where they've been, how they've gotten to where they are in this point in the season, and then giving you some numbers to know, whether it's individual statistics or team, offense and defensive things to just be in the know on as you get ready for game day. That's kind of the point of what this episode is, what this kind of installment, this series is, going behind enemy lines. And again, this time it's for the Arizona State team that is 6-3 and 4-2 in conference. And the first thing we're going to do is just seek to tell you a little bit about how they got here to this point in this season. But we're going to go all the way back to 2024. Because they played in the Big 12 championship game and earned a spot in the CFP last season, and they lost to Texas in a thrilling overtime game in the college football playoff. And obviously, expectations for this Arizona State team were high heading into 2025. They were ranked 11th in the preseason poll, obviously not ranked now at 6-3 and 4-2 in conference play. In the non-conference, they picked up wins over Northern Arizona, Texas State, and fell to Mississippi State in Week 2, a 24-20 loss on the road for them. Again, in Big 12 play, they sit at 4-2. They have one-score wins. Each of their wins are one-score victories. I found that interesting. They play, obviously, a lot of close games. Wins over Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and then most recently Iowa State on November 1st. And so something to note, obviously, is that Arizona State in this matchup with West Virginia coming up on the 15th of November, they're coming off of a bye week on November 8th. They did not play. So their last game was a win on the road against Iowa State. Now, their 2 losses in conference play, a 42-10 blowout loss on the road at Utah, and then a 24-16 loss to Houston. Again, coming off a bye week, but they will be without their star starting quarterback, Sam Leavitt, who's done for the season. Obviously led them to the CFP last season, but was ruled out for the remainder of the year after undergoing surgery due to a lingering foot injury that he was dealing with. He last appeared in that game, that loss that they suffered to Houston on the 25th of October, and then he I think I read that he went out of that game twice, but that was the last game he played in. Underwent the foot surgery, now out for the season. But stepping up in his place a little bit in that game against Houston, and then getting the start against Iowa State back on November 1st was Jeff Sims. Jeff Sims is what I call and what we call around college football a journeyman of sorts. He began his career back in 2020. Yes, 2020 with Georgia Tech. Had a stop in Nebraska and then began his Arizona State tenure in 2024, where obviously Sam Leavitt took over that starting quarterback job there, but he stayed. And now here he is, getting the start against Iowa State, getting a road win, and now coming off of bye week and knowing that he's the guy. He's gonna face off against the Mountaineers. We're gonna get to some numbers here, just some numbers for you to know real quick. This isn't the longest episode of all time. These are just some fast facts about Arizona State, who they are, what they bring to the table, where they've been, what they've done, etc. So a few numbers to know, and that first one is a big one. It's 228. If you're watching on YouTube, you get a sneak peek of what these numbers are, but you don't know what in the world they have to do with, or you might if you've done a little research on Arizona State. So the first number to know is 228. And again, this is just something we kind of do over the last several weeks behind enemy lines, and we go give you a few numbers, a few statistics to be aware of based on where this team has been this season. This first one, again, 228. Well, Jeff Sims, the aforementioned Jeff Sims, who got the start against Iowa State, he set a school record for quarterback rushing yards in a single game with 228 big ones in that 24-19 road win over Iowa State. He had an 88-yard touchdown run, obviously the speed to go the distance, 88 yards in the second quarter. He had 3 total touchdowns on the day. Two of them were runs. He had 29 carries to get that 228 yards, record-setting day. And how that meshes, or whatever you want to say, with West Virginia and Zach Alley and that defense. The good news is West Virginia is accustomed to playing against dual threat quarterbacks this year. There's been numerous, right? You go all the way back to Ohio. You think of Utah. Devin Dampier's got he can run. Bear Bachmeier. There's been several guys that West Virginia has seen this year that are capable runners. They shut down Juju Lewis of Colorado last week. But there's been some guys that they've come up against. Connor Wigman, Houston, right? You just keep thinking about him. There's been several of their 10 games played. There's been several pieces that can really, really run the football at the quarterback position. However, none of those guys are coming off of a school record-breaking performance with 228 yards on the ground for a quarterback. 88 of those coming on one big chunk play, but you take that away, he still had an incredible day on the ground. 29 carries. They're used to playing dual threat quarterbacks, but not a quarterback who's coming off of performance quite like that. And so that's the first number to know, is that this, second string quarterback who's been around college football for a long time just put together, his best performance. Again, he threw a touchdown in that one. I think he had about 170 yards passing as well. And for a guy that's been around college football for as long as he have, he's coming off of his best performance ever. Back to Georgia Tech, back to Nebraska. I took a look at his performances and his game logs, and this game he had against Iowa State in the road win was his best collegiate game, pretty significantly. And so you can bet he's going to be coming into this one as they host the Mountaineers with a bit of confidence. So that's the first one to know, and keep an eye on what Jeff Sims does on the ground and through the air. We're going to talk about him even more this week, but that's the first thing to know. Second thing, I got 3 numbers for you. The second one is the number 57. 57. That's the total number of receptions that Arizona State's standout receiver Jordan Tyson has on the year, and he actually leads the Big 12 with those 57 receptions on the season for him. He had a 10-catch, 105-yard performance in Arizona State's upset win over Texas Tech, right? Obviously, again, Texas Tech, to me, one of the best teams in the country, and Arizona State beat that team not that long ago. It was the one blemish for Texas Tech, this season. Texas Tech obviously coming off of the huge win in blowout fashion against BYU, but Arizona State beat them. Crazy. And part of that was due to Jordan Tyson. 10 catches, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. He's got 57 catches on the year to go along with 628 yards and 8 touchdowns. And he's posted, that high level of numbers, receptions, touchdowns, receiving yards, despite missing the team's last 2 games with a hamstring injury. And so keep an eye on whether or not, I haven't seen anything to this point as to whether Jordan Tyson will be a go against West Virginia. But again, they are coming off a bye week. It'll be, 2 weeks since the team's last game, and, I guess about 4 weeks since Tyson last played. Crazy enough. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on whether or not Jordan Tyson plays, and obviously he will figure to be a pretty popular target for Sims. Even if Sims is trying to get the ball, down the field, running the football within this offense, if he drops back to pass, look for Tyson to be a top target if he's able to go against West Virginia on Saturday afternoon. All right, last number we're going to give you here on this episode of Mountaineer Moment, going behind enemy lines, talking about the Arizona State Sun Devils and what West Virginia needs to be on the lookout for. So Arizona State's defense, we're going to break them down a little bit within this last segment here, within this last number I'm going to give you. The number's 24, and that is the amount of sacks that this Arizona State team has this season. To put that in reference, West Virginia has 24 sacks on the season as well, which is tied for third in the Big 12. They had 7 sacks to boost that number against Colorado last week, but both of these teams have 24 sacks on the season. And again, I mentioned Arizona State's defense. They've been pretty much middle of the pack, I'd say, within the Big 12. Obviously, the beating they took to Utah, who hung 42 points on them. Most of their other games have been in the mid-20s, right? They had a 27-24 win against Baylor, 27-24 against TCU back-to-back weeks. They held this Texas Tech offense to 22 while they scored 26. Texas Tech, one of the premier defenses in all of college football, only giving up like 13 or so points a game, giving up like 70 yards on the ground. It's absurd, but Arizona State was able to beat them. And that makes me curious even as to what Arizona State did on the ground. Not a whole lot. 36 carries for 75 yards, so just about average as far as what Texas Tech gives up. But they hosted Texas Tech. They were at the time the number 7 team in the country, and they beat them 26-22 in that one. Jordan Tyson, again, monster performance, 105 yards. But through the air, Sam Levitt, who obviously not available this weekend, had 28 pass completions out of 47 attempts, 319 yards, and a touchdown. So there you have it. But pretty shocking win that they were able to pull off over Texas Tech. But that's their signature win this season without a doubt. But aside from that, not a bad defense, but middle of the pack in a lot of different areas. In their loss to Houston, it was a close game, 24-16. But then I mentioned earlier, their 4 wins in conference play. They won by 3, they won by 3, they won by 4, and they won by 5. So really, when they win in Big 12 play, it's been tight. And just the one blowout loss to Utah, but even that Houston game, just an 8-point game. Their other loss to Mississippi State early, a 4-point game. And then they played, other 2 smaller schools in Northern Arizona and Texas State, but just kind of puts things in perspective here a little bit. They're a team that's used to playing close games. But on the season, 24 sacks, and they like to get after the quarterback when they can. Obviously, West Virginia's offensive line has proven to be susceptible to giving up pressure this season, though they have looked better across the board, offense, defense, special teams. Well, you know it as Mountaineer fans. They've looked better as a team over the last few weeks, especially the last two, picking up wins. And West Virginia will look to continue that streak, look to maintain their bowl eligibility, their chances for that. As the season comes to a close, just 2 regular seasons game left. West Virginia will host Texas Tech the following weekend, hoping to play spoiler for them. Obviously, to ruin their chances of CFP playoff, Big 12 championship, whatever. But that's after this one. First one is Arizona State. You're a double-digit underdog, and you're playing against a backup quarterback who can really, really run. But we'll see what West Virginia has in store for this one. On the rest of the week, as we count down to kickoff, you can look out for our weekly installment of Over or Under. Not where we're talking about like real serious bets or anything like that, like the money line for the game or the over under the spread. That's Vegas has for the game. But we're just gonna have some fun with some over or unders, some numbers to watch for, player statistics to look out for. So you can look out for that one this week. As well as a keys to victory that we're going to put out Wednesday or Thursday of this week, giving you a few different keys for the Mountaineers if they want to pull off another road upset like they did a couple weeks ago against Houston. So be on the lookout for that. And then again, obviously, said it in the opening. This is a show that talks about West Virginia football and basketball. Basketball team's got a big one coming up on Thursday night. Against Pitt in the Backyard Brawl, where they will host them at the Hope Coliseum, and we will have a preview of that game, giving you again kind of like a behind enemy line style, who Pitt is, what they bring to the table, what they return, what they've looked like this season, and how West Virginia matches up with them. I will say the preview episodes here on Mountaineer Moment, in regards to basketball, have done a little bit. I've had a little bit of success as far as just numbers and views and things like that over the last few games. So look for that. Hopefully that'll continue. And if that continues, that means we'll have to keep putting them out here on Mountaineer Moment. So like it, comment, watch it, subscribe to it, and we'll keep on plugging away at this thing. Still several episodes a week, West Virginia football and basketball. So super important. If you like what you hear, if you enjoy being here, if you don't mind me too much, hit that subscribe button and be in the know when we have new content coming your way, covering the West Virginia football and basketball programs in this crossover season that we're in. Busy time in November. We'll be sure to keep pumping out episodes as much as we can here on Mountaineer Moment. Again, this is episode number 83, and we will see you next time on Mountaineer Moment.